Ever heard the phrase, too good to be true? You know, like those online ads that promise you'll make millions from your couch.
Oh, yeah. Definitely familiar with those.
Well, get ready, because today's deep dive takes us into the world of Desi consultancies. Think of firms promising that American tech dream, often to talented folks from India and surrounding countries.
Right, a foot in the door, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But digging into all these articles and reports you sent, well, let's just say it's not all sunshine and H-1B visas. Ready to uncover the darker side of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive in.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Hmm.
You've got this collision of the tech boom, then the H-1B visa program, the one specifically for bringing skilled workers to the U.S.
Right.
And on top of that, the aspirations of, countless individuals.
It's interesting how these consultancies, they actually emerged from a genuine need,
Yeah.
The late 90s, early 2000s, that IT boom, massive demand for tech talent, these firms stepped in to bridge that gap.
Right. Connecting skilled professionals,
Mhm.
many from India, with companies here in the U.S., classic immigrant story, seeing a need and building a solution.
Exactly.
But, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, somewhere along the way, did the lines get blurry? Like between helping and exploiting?
Oh, absolutely. And a key driver behind that shift, the H-1B visa program itself. It was intended to attract skilled workers, no doubt, but it became vulnerable. Add in the pressure on job seekers.
Many of them new to the country, desperate for their shot.
Exactly. It created a breeding ground for, well, some less than ethical practices.
Okay, so unpack this for us a bit. We're talking about a company sponsoring a foreign worker to come to the U.S. for a specific job. Right.
Precisely. Company has to prove they couldn't find a qualified American worker, and the applicant needs to demonstrate their specialized skills. But some consultancies, they saw this as a loophole.
Not a system.
Exactly.
Our listeners sent in some wild stories about these proxy interviews. What's the deal with those? It's like identity swap, but for job interviews.
You're not far off. Picture this. Company thinks they're interviewing, a promising candidate over video call, but it's someone else entirely, usually someone more qualified, pretending to be that applicant.
Whoa. So they're putting on a performance to land the job for someone else?
That's it.
That's insane. But why go through all that trouble?
Money, plain and simple. By using a proxy, consultancies can present a more polished candidate on paper and potentially secure a higher salary, better placement.
Oh, I get it.
All of that.
But that's messed up. Sounds like a nightmare for everyone involved in the long run. What happens once the real employee starts working?
That's just it. Recipe for disaster. You have someone in a position they are not equipped for. Project delays, subpar work, even safety issues potentially.
Right.
Not to mention what it does to team dynamics, erosion of trust within the company.
It's fake it till you make it, but gone, horribly wrong.
Exactly.
This isn't just bending the rules. This is straight up deception. And our listener sent in an article about one company, Nanosemantics, Inc.,
Right, I saw that one.
where this kind of deception went to a whole other level.
Oh, absolutely. Nanosemantics, textbook case of H-1B visa fraud, creating entirely fake job positions, forging documents, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a few applications. Massive operation. Ultimately landed them in some very serious legal hot water.
See, this is what I mean by too good to be true. It makes you wonder, how did they get away with this? Are there no safeguards in place? It's like they're playing this high-stakes game,
Yeah.
right? And the rules are just suggestions.
Yeah.
But this isn't some abstract game. We're talking real people's lives being, cost round.
Absolutely. This is where the human cost, it becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine you're a skilled professional, worked hard your whole life, and you're told the only way to achieve your dreams is to participate in this charade.
It's kind of heartbreaking when you put it like that.
The pressure to comply, it must be immense.
It's like they're tracked, right? In this system designed to exploit their ambition, their desperation. Our listener shared a story, actually, about one person who just flat out refused to go along with the consultancy's demands, like to lie on their resume, stuff like that.
Wow. And what happened?
So according to this article, threats, intimidation tactics, basically told they'd be blacklisted from the industry if they didn't play ball.
It's more than just circumventing immigration laws. It's about power, wielding power over vulnerable individuals.
Yeah.
People who are new to a country, unfamiliar with the system.
It's like modern-day indentured servitude, but wrapped up in this shiny American dream packaging. And what gets me is it doesn't just impact the individuals involved. This manipulation of the H-1B program, it ripples through the entire industry.
Right, because if you have consultancies flooding the system with inflated applications, creating this artificial demand,
Right.
it makes it incredibly difficult for legitimate applicants to even get looked at.
To even get a foot in the door.
Exactly.
And then on the flip side, companies, they're left grappling with this talent pool that's been distorted by these practices.
Right.
So they're either stuck with unqualified individuals
Yep.
or struggling to find the right people, period,
Yeah.
because the system is so skewed.
And don't forget the economic implications. I think one of the articles you sent, it mentioned that these consultancies often underpay their workers, forcing them to live in pretty terrible conditions, sending a large chunk of their earnings back home.
Right.
It creates this underclass of worker.
It's lose-lose for everyone except the consultancy.
Exactly, the ones lining their pockets.
Yeah. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? There have to be ways to combat this, to separate the, what is it, the wheat from the chaff.
Absolutely. Awareness is key. That's where our whole deep dive comes in. Once you understand the tactics these shady consultancies use, you can start to spot the red flags.
Okay, so red flags. What should people be on the lookout for?
First and foremost, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Be wary of consultancies that make extravagant promises. Guaranteed visas, dream job, all that, without any concrete evidence to back it up.
Extravagant promises, yeah, like we'll get you that six-figure salary, penthouse apartment in Silicon Valley, guaranteed.
Exactly. And pay attention to the fees, the payment structures. Legitimate consultancies, they're upfront about their costs. The shady ones, they might hit you with hidden fees or pressure you into these large upfront payments.
Big red flag.
Huge.
Another thing that stood out from our reading was their track record. Check it.
Absolutely. Do your due diligence. Look for verifiable testimonials, past clients, ideally from, reputable sources, LinkedIn, professional networking sites, that sort of thing.
And don't just rely on what's on their website. Dig a little deeper. Are they affiliated with any professional organizations, industry bodies?
Right, because those organizations often have ethical guidelines, codes of conduct. Their members are expected to adhere to those.
It's like a seal of approval, or at least a good indication that they're playing by the rules.
Speaking of rules, if a consultancy even hints at engaging in any kind of unethical or illegal activity, providing fake documents, participating in proxy interviews,
Go away.
walk away. No job is worth jeopardizing your future.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember, right? Not all Desi consultancies are bad actors. There are plenty of ethical, reputable firms out there doing fantastic work, connecting talented individuals with great opportunities.
Absolutely. Those ethical consultancies, they pride themselves on transparency, integrity, genuine commitment to helping both job seekers and companies succeed.
So it's about being informed, asking the right questions, trusting your gut.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. And in this case, it can be the key to navigating this complex landscape and achieving that American tech dream, but the right way.
This deep dive has been, well, eye-opening to say the least. We uncovered the dark side of Desi consultancies, for those proxy interviews to visa fraud and the very real human cost of these practices.
But we also learned there are ways to protect yourself. Spot the red flags. Find ethical partners who can help you navigate this challenging, terrain.
So if you're thinking about working with a Desi consultancy, remember the advice we've shared today. Do your research, ask those tough questions, trust your instincts.
Yes.
And if something feels off, it probably is. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.